right, here we go. In a supermarket, just recording like nothing's happening. Tons of people around staring at me, but we're here for it. My goal right now, like I said, is literally just to try to pack on as much muscle as I can. But here's the thing. I'm definitely consuming way too many calories. I'm not in one of those bodybuilder level bulks where I'm trying to just pack on as much mass as possible. But right now I'm definitely carrying too much weight. I've been 220 for as long as I can remember, for at least the past like 3 to 4 months. And despite working out twice a day now, easily hitting 10,000 steps, I'm still waking up and I'm 220. Now, for those of you guys that are, you've recently started lifting a lot more consistently and you're not seeing the weight go down if you're trying to lose body fat, it's possible there's like some recomposition going on there, which is when you're gaining muscle and losing body fat at the same time. That happens to people who, they haven't trained for months to years and they start. There's an element of that happening with me, but I'm definitely just consuming too many calories. So what my goal is to tidy it up a bit, like to just lock in a bit. Obviously, I've been a nutritionist for 10 years, right? Or a coach for 10 years, a nutritionist for a little less. I have a master's degree in nutrition, so I just want to give you a bunch of supermarket tips while also showing you what I'm going for when I'm trying to not consume too many extra calories, right? So what I'm going to be looking out for here is like high volume, high protein foods, filling foods that aren't excessively high in calories, right? And I'll just take you through that. All right, you ready to go? Let's begin. We're in the produce section right here. When people say eating healthy is expensive, I always tell them this is the cheapest section of the supermarket. Now, I will agree with the fact that healthy convenience food is more expensive, for sure. First up, we got some delicious bananas. Isabel gives me shit that I'm always leaving bananas, but right now I'm pretty obsessed with this smoothie. It's like a chocolate peanut butter banana smoothie, and it requires 2 bananas. Now, that's an example, right? 2 bananas. I don't need 2 bananas every morning, so I'm gonna cut that down to 1. But bananas are great. Don't get it twisted. Bananas are fantastic. They have fiber. They have a bunch of micronutrients, notably potassium. They're filling. They have carbohydrate in the form of sugar, fructose, which can help with energy provision during exercise. I think the pink ladies are just too sweet. I think they're just too sweet. The gala apples are usually my go-to. And I like getting them in the bags because they're a little smaller, so you're not taking 30 grams of sugar to the face. Not that, that's bad. I'm gonna have to delete that for some people, because some people will be like, did you just call apples bad? It's like, no. Like, I want my apple, but can I have a smaller one? But yeah, why is the sugar from fruit not looked at the same as when it's from candy? Because at the end of the pathway, like if we're setting aside the differences between glucose and fructose, which there are some, right? In the absorption mainly, sugar will be used as fuel for our working muscles because it's the preferred source of fuel for our muscle cells and our brain cells. Or if there is an abundance of that fuel, it will be converted to fat. And so at the end of the pathway, the source really doesn't matter. So why is there an obvious difference in messaging from people like me about where you get your sugar from? It's because the process of digestion and what we call assimilation of that is different. You take an apple, for example, the sugar, while it's in a simple form, it's packaged up within the food matrix, it's accompanied by fiber, it's accompanied by the vitamins, the minerals, the antioxidants that are also occurring in the fruit. So, gotta get my berries. I've now done about 5 loops of the produce section. This is my first grocery store trip, but it's packaged up with all the other nutrients. notably fiber, and that takes time to separate it and then absorb it, right? It doesn't have to really break it down any further because it's in its simple form as sugar, but it has to get access to that so it can absorb it. And so that takes time with the apple. And then the other side of that is the fiber that's in the apple is going to last a lot longer. It's going to carry you a lot further before you feel the need to eat and snack again. So while you are taking in a nutrient in sugar that is probably a little less filling than protein or fat, you're accompanying it with the most filling nutrient in the human diet. So just a head of broccoli. My plan was to come in here and be very systematic about how I walked around the store, but that has obviously gone to the dogs. Refrigerated pasta, guys. Let me come over here so you can see it. Oh yeah. You know it's Italian when it's refrigerated. So my next section here is the cold cuts. So right now I've just been really relying on like a lunchtime sandwich, like post gym. So what I do is I wake up first thing and I'll take my dog for a walk, and then if Isabel doesn't, I'll take the dog for a walk and straight into my day job. I don't have a night job. I don't know why I said day job, but like my job. And I'll do like 4 hours, maybe 5. And by that time it's like 12 or 1 o'clock, and then I'll just head to the gym. By the time I get back from the gym, I am starving, extremely hungry. So what I do is I just make like a basic sandwich. But now that I'm thinking about it, the bread, I get the Dave's Killer bread, which we'll get to in a second. And it definitely runs probably 300 calories for just 2 slices of those. I think it's around that. And then I'm having, 2 slices of American cheese, like 3 slices of turkey cold cuts. So while I think it is a filling snack, because that's not one of my main meals. That's like a snack because I'm so hungry. It's probably not the most efficacious in terms of filling me up, Sorry about that. I ran over a radish, I think it was. A radish. Okay, I'm gonna get some potatoes. You might know about this study because it's very old, but there was a study done of the satiety or the fillingness, you can call it, of common foods. I think there were over 60 foods in the study. Guess what food scored the highest in terms of satiety? Potatoes. True story. I'll put the study right here. If you haven't got the gist yet, as a nutritionist, I'm a big proponent of like what I call kind of like food acceptance, right? So I don't believe that I'm not of the standpoint that there are good or bad foods in isolation. Actually, I talked about that in my last video, or maybe 2 videos ago. I don't know what order I post. But one of the foods that I will say are not the best, and in a vacuum should be definitely limited in your diet, are these. Are like your highly processed and cured meats. Why? Because they do have a lot of sodium, a ton of sodium, usually high in saturated fat, which is the bad fat, right? Oh, sorry. Sometimes I catch myself. The less healthful fat, and that will, if you consume too much saturated fat, regardless of where it's from, that will increase your LDL cholesterol, which is the bad cholesterol. There is good and bad cholesterol. Is this gonna follow me all the way over here? That is crazy. Like, let's just grab this. So uncured dry sausage, right? So there's 9 servings in this roll, right? Yeah, which is fair enough. You get 9 pieces, right? You probably get some more servings than that, which is refreshing to see because sometimes they fuck around with the serving size. But 430 milligrams of sodium, so that's per piece. That is per piece, right? So let me just put that into perspective for you. The recommended sodium intake, well, it depends, right? It depends if you're active and you're sweating, but it would be anywhere from, it's like 2,200 milligrams to 2,600 milligrams of sodium a day. So for one piece, that's not a meal, for one piece of that to have about 20 to 25% of your daily quota of sodium. Now, sodium is not the same as salt. Sodium is contained within salt, okay? That's important to remember. The recommended daily intake of salt is about 5 to 6 grams, which is about 5 to 6,000 milligrams, right? For one piece of that salami or whatever you call it, the sausage, to have, I think sodium is probably one of the biggest concerns, right? But when we're talking about luncheon meats, which we'll get to, that falls in the same category, and hot dogs, right? We're on the topic of July 4th, hot dogs. Not the best. They have nitrates, which in the body do form, let's say, harmful compounds. So I could go with the 80-20 for 16 bucks for this big pack, or I could go with the 90-10, $7 for this. So, oh, it's actually not that bad. This is $5.29 per pound, and this is $5.79. So, what am I even talking about? Oh, and of course we got to do some turkey, right? The turkey burgers. Nutrition fact for you: when it comes to tuna, and I just realized it's way more awkward. I was thinking this is gonna be easy. No one's looking at me, but when you're in an aisle, that shit's way more intimate. So I'm now getting a lot of looks. But they're like, who the fuck is this guy talking to? When it comes to tuna, fantastic high protein, low volume food. Or sorry, high protein, higher volume, right? You might say, Patrick, that's not very high volume if it's in this tiny can. But when I say high volume, I'm looking at protein to calorie ratio too, because protein is the nutrient that takes the most time and energy from your body to break down and digest and assimilate, if you remember that term. And so this can has 100 calories. It does have 300 milligrams of sodium, but it has 22 grams of protein for 100 calories, which is, multiply 22 by 4, it's 88. So there's 12 calories coming from other sources here, which is just outrageous. So it's fantastic, but that's not even the nutrition fact I wanted to give you guys. You always want to go for light. So see how this says chunk light tuna? Did it focus there? Hopefully it did. That's what you want to go for as it pertains to mercury. So this tuna is a lot lower in mercury source, but most of the cans or the tins that you'll get in a store are just by default this light tuna. But if for some reason you see it where it's not, go for the light tuna. This is like the Brazilian Spanish section, so I don't think they have them here. But what I do have to get every time is wafers. Brazilians will know, but this is a special, it's not even a request, but every time I bring these back, I get brownie points, so I do it every time. All right, I'm still trying to get a good thumbnail. All right, so we got rice. I do get questions on, these bad boys, right? I'm actually a big fan. I'm a big fan because it's convenient, and if you're having a packet of rice, chances are you're having it as part of a mixed meal with a protein and a fat and maybe a veggie. So in that way, if this is a stimulus for eating a balanced meal, then I'll take whatever downside there is claimed to be with it. Now, I don't need rice right now. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna grab, to put my money where my mouth is, I'm gonna grab one or two. Oops, sorry. But I'm not gonna get the Uncle Ben's because it's so bad for you. No, I'm joking. It's because it's cheap. These are cheaper. So I'll get one brown rice, and these are great because they're little cups, right? So it's kind of like portion control. That's one thing that I will say if you're also trying to dial in the calories, is just look at how much carbs you're eating. That was actually one of my first discoveries when I started studying nutrition. I'll get into that story someday, but I was playing basketball at the time and I was carrying way too much body fat. I was out of shape. Well, I wasn't out of shape, I was fit. I was just heavy as fuck, and I was training for 2 hours every day with like elite players, right? In an elite basketball team. And I was like, why the fuck am I not losing weight? This is outrageous. This is outrageous. And it was because I was taking probably 1,000 calories to the face in my carb sources every meal, right? So when they're portion control like this, and that is one reason, so the basmati and jasmine, we'll go for all three. But that is one reason I feel, I kind of know, right, that carbs get a bad name. It's because they make overeating calories easier. That's pretty much it. Okay, so now is one of the healthiest parts of the supermarket that is often overlooked. Beans. Good for the heart. The more you eat, the more you fart. The more you fart, the more you eat. Finish it for me. I'm not getting these because I don't like them out of a can really, but I do want to bring up some nutrition tips about these bad boys. I didn't want to bring it down with me because then someone has to put it back. But I'm also not going to pretend I don't do that on the regular. So are a source of something, a nutrient that it's gonna become a huge focus in the supplement industry, and it already has. But I think it's gonna grow, and there's gonna be an increased emphasis on it. But that is nitric oxide. Sorry, in the form of nitrates in beets. Right, the richest dietary source of them is beets. Right, like beetroot. And in our body, they are converted to, nitrates are converted to nitrites. And nitrites are converted to nitric oxide, which is a vasodilator, which I'm sure you've probably heard of. It helps our blood vessels dilate, loosen, expand, and so it can really help with blood pressure in those who have high blood pressure. But for that reason, it's also a really good pre-workout ingredient for athletes. And you've probably seen, these elite, it's big in the UK, but these elite like soccer players, these football players like we have in Ireland, taking beet shots. And that's like a highly concentrated source of the nitrates. But you can also get it from like eating, you'd have to eat beets pretty consistently and a good amount of them. I was in BJ's recently and they had this big box of, you get them boiled. I don't like the canned ones, but I do like the boiled ones in the pack. And I got a big multi-pack of them, and I hadn't eaten them in weeks, and I saw them in the back of the fridge the other day, and I just ate 5 beets just on their own. They're really nice. I used to freaking hate them. I used to puke if I tasted the taste of beet. And now I love them. I can actually eat them on their own. So, okay, so I stopped here because I want to show you guys, I'm on the baking aisle, like the desserts aisle, but I want to show you 2 things that I'm actually going to cut out of, not cut out, but temporarily cut out, because I do think it's one, I think just by strategically taking 2 of these things out of my regular daily lineup, I'm going to save upwards of 500 calories. Yeah. And I will have to find a replacement for sure, but I have been eating, or in those morning smoothies that I have, I love the chewiness. So I've had walnuts in them, and I probably put 2 handfuls of walnuts in there, which, let's say it's a serving, it says 220 calories per serving. This says 15 servings per container. I mean, maybe. Am I having 400 calories in walnuts in my smoothie that if I took out, I wouldn't actually notice? Am I? That's crazy. That's crazy. So what I'm gonna replace them with is sliced almonds because, Jesus, 6 servings per container. No, you know what? I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna replace them with, and you might laugh at it because it's gonna be way less, quote unquote, healthy. But you'll see. The second thing I'm not purchasing right now, semi-sweet chocolate chips, right? One of my rules was no chocolate candy for the 75 hard, but I specifically, before I started, said I am not including in that chocolate chips or like semi-sweet. I get like dark chocolate chips. Oh, sorry, I never did the calorie lineup. One second. This has 22 servings per packet. I will say I probably get 10. I pour these into my yogurt. I do like a yogurt mix, and it says 80 calories per serving. So like I'm probably having 160. So like I said, just by taking out those and the nuts, that's 400 calories, 500 maybe. One thing I will be continuing to have in my diet, which I'm absolutely loving, are pudding cups. This has 100 calories. Wow, it'd be really nice if they had like a protein pudding. I'm not seeing any here. But 100 calories, you know, for a cup of pudding is not bad. It's about 10, 11 grams of sugar, 0 grams of protein, imagine, 0. And on that note, if you are dieting, this is also another great dieting food, Jell-O. That is what we call high volume, right? Because you're gonna get a massive bowl of it and you have to eat a lot to eat a lot of calories, you know? So I'm gonna do this like streaky one. This is like 149. Definitely like a highly processed food, but you know what? I'm here for it. Definitely not functional whatsoever, but like if I want a snack and I'd usually want an ice cream, that'll hit the spot. Anyway, okay, I just did a circle. I wanted to come back because I'm not getting oats because I have a huge amount of them at home, but I do want to draw some attention to oatmeal, an amazing food. It gets shit on quite regularly. We won't get into all that right now. The main reason it gets shit on is because of phytic acid, I believe, which is considered an anti-nutrient. Basically, just quick summary is that they're a fantastic food. They're a high quality source of soluble fiber. Our fiber intake is like 80-20 insoluble, which is like the hard, rigid fiber. 20% that fiber that absorbs water and make this kind of mushy texture, right? And that is a very healthy process. And we need that fiber, and that is the fiber that is very important for cholesterol regulation. I just think oats are an absolutely fantastic food, and anyone who says otherwise should just have a good day and maybe stop saying that. These are just basically Cocoa Pops. Do they make Cocoa Pops anymore? I could not find Cocoa Pops for the life of me. But that's gonna be what I'm replacing the chocolate chips with. And you might say, aren't the dark chocolate chips way healthier? I mean, it depends on what you consider healthy, because you know, I get a cup of these as opposed to a little tiny mini handful. I could have 2 bowls of these for the same amount of calories as the nuts, which is like such an optional ingredient in my yogurt. It's not like it's the base of the yogurt bowl that I make, which is just crazy. So we'll do these. One simple tip when you're getting chips, guys, is like, just go with the reduced sodium ones. That is one thing we're definitely eating too much of nowadays is sodium. You know, people are like, that food is processed, that food is bad. And I'm always like, okay, why? Why? Tell me why. And they can't even tell me why. Which is okay, but if you're gonna be going around screaming that this food is terrible for you, you should at least have some kind of rationale for why it is, right? But one reason I'll give you is the sodium content in ultra processed foods is pretty freaking high. Pretty high. So that is definitely one reason you should reduce your intake of those. You're probably sick of hearing me talk right now. Unless this is like super helpful. Like, I realize I'm not Sam Sulek walking around the store showing you what I'm eating, but I'm coming at it from a different perspective. That's where I got the inspiration for this style, by the way. I saw him do it and I was like, yo, this is the craziest shit I've ever seen. I've never seen someone put their camera on their cart and just like walk around. But of course you need the setup, like you need a mic. All right, I just found something absolutely outrageous, and I gotta look into it because this is outrageous. This says per wrap, there's 110 calories, and there's 30 grams of fiber. What in the name of, I've never seen something like that. You don't wanna have 30 grams of fiber on one serving, that's, okay, per 2 tortillas, 20 grams, so 10 per tortilla, that's perfect. I do like this brand. I don't know if they're economically viable for a lot of us, but you know, I just put them back because I'm almost there though. I have 2 more aisles. Cottage cheese, guys, especially the flavored one, extremely high in protein. 120 calories, 13 grams of protein. I have a big tub of yogurt, but yogurt is also one of my really, really important staples. I just make this like really big bowl of goop, I call it, with protein powder. I used to put the chocolate chips, but now I'll put the crunchy Cocoa Pops, or the chocolate Rice Krispies, sorry. Maybe that's their rebrand. And I'll just, I'll put some blueberries if I have them. I do have them somewhere in here. And I'll just like mix that shit all up. You got eggs, but obviously eggs are important. We got PB Fit, which I love. So if you don't know PB Fit, guys, it's a powdered peanut butter where they dehydrate it. They basically like squeeze out the majority of the fat, and yeah, it's just low calorie. You mix it with a little bit of water and you are good to go. But I gotta go to this checkout now, and these will get a lot more topical in the future. I'm gonna make these a regular thing because I feel like this is the coolest way for me to share my knowledge, which I have a big passion for. I want to teach people about food, about nutrition, and I just don't like the way I try to go about it on social media, because the shorter the video, the better for social media, but the shorter the video, the less I'm able to get into the topic and its nuance, and the more the chance of misunderstandings, you know what I mean? So that's why I like this long form stuff, and hopefully you guys do too. But I'll leave it here. If you can, if you learned something from this, I would absolutely love it if you could leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And thank you so much. Peace.